Thrill of the Chase 9-clue poem solved precisely. The Thrill of the Chase poem explained clue by clue, line by line, and punctuation reasons. The 9 clues in the poem that leads to Forrest's rainbow and the treasure chest in the Thrill of the Chase treasure hunt. Clue number 1 is the full first stanza right up until the first period. The full first clue, as I've gone alone in there and with my treasures bold, comma, I can keep my secret where, comma, and hint of riches new and old. This clue number 1 is the secret search area location Forrest Fenn is describing in different aspects. Line number 1 is the singular search location by using the word there. The only way to solve the poem is to figure out where there is. As I've gone alone in there. Forrest went alone into Palisades Sill, and he gave us many clues to figure that out. Alone in there is the secret location where, which is Forrest's Palisade of Solitude. Once again, the importance of figuring out precisely where there was is the key to everything. Palisades Sill was 100% Forrest Fenn's there answer in the poem for his secret location, and it will be proven in a multitude of different ways of clues pulling together. 15 years of creativity. This will eventually become the brilliant connections to Superman's Fortress of Solitude from Forrest's Palisade of Solitude. Forrest went to Palisades Sill many times during his youth as a midpoint resting spot from Temple, Texas to Yellowstone. Palisades Sill is within the search area in the benchmark map. Forrest pinpointed the X search location north of Santa Fe in his description of the benchmark map. Exhibit P1A. Be sure for the one who did know. We've recently been turned on to the map, and Wheeler Peak becomes a pinpointed precise spot with an X that is there in spirit. See Exhibit P2. Our Google Map portion from inside the poem is located precisely at Wheeler Peak in New Mexico. Exhibit P1B. The end of Forrest's rainbow was Clark Kent, aka Superman. Superman's new superpower was the rainbow coming from his hands. Hence the reason the end of Forrest's rainbow was Superman, aka Clark Kent. Hundreds of connections to the name Clark Kent on Forrest's secret grave marker. The most common mistake that I see searchers make is that they underestimate the importance of the first clue. If you don't have that one nailed down, you might as well stay home and play Canasta. Kent and Esther were Forrest's 2 people keeping his secret at Palisades Sill. In spirit. This is one of thousands of dedications included from Forrest. This is one to George Wheeler. Exhibit P2. Forrest gave us many Palisades clues throughout all 3 books, and I'll illustrate his point by showing some in a few pictures. Fortified. A defensive fort. A palisade surrounds a fort. Exhibit P3. The treasure chest is between. Definition is in the middle of. Palisades Sill elevation is in the middle of 10,000, 200, and 5,000. Exhibit P3A. Forrest somehow felt surrounded in his story where he was in the middle, because he was in the middle of the canyon at Palisades Sill, but also in the middle of his elevation clue at his secret place. Palisades Sill fits into everything there, Forrest said, if it's used in the right context. Other lines that identify a wooden defensive structure within the poem are, the end is ever drawing nigh. The end of the map portion is Palisades Sill, a defensive wooden enclosure drawing a weapon. If you are brave and in the wood, if you've been brave and found Superman, Clark Kent, in the wooden palisade, so many palisades hidden in the stories. Palisade is a row of tree trunks Also a row of tall trees. Clark Joseph Kent, inside of a palisade wooden structure. Joseph Sunhawk. Clark Joseph Kent, aka Superman, re-energized his power in the sun. For the sake of speeding up this presentation about the poem, I will show everyone just how Palisades Sill was the location of the treasure chest, but only if you figured out that Palisades Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico, was there in the first clue. Exhibit P, 4, and 4A. The storyline of Forrest dancing with the movie stars, Suzanne Sommer, has the answers we needed with an anagram of the Pleiades constellation of stars. Anagram, Pleiades, the clue, and the number 1 anagram. Palisade, the answer. Forrest Fenn was dancing with the stars, dancing around the subject. So now I'm going to simplify the whole solution to the treasure hunt with the solving of where there was at Palisades Sill in the story of visiting the movie star Suzanne Summers. Forrest giving us our last clue about Palisades Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico. So looking deeper into the story of Forrest dancing with the stars within the Pleiades Palisade, we find a much more defined clue about a secluded parking area in the 300-foot Pleiades, which takes us precisely to the secluded parking lot at the 300-foot cliff in Palisades Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico. Exhibit P4C. Lessons from Forrest. Once upon a while, Forrest gets something right, and the amazing superheroes he hid in these stories are the phenomenal secret treasures that we were looking for. Forrest fishing in a Pleiades for his Dancing with the Stars solution to add to his comic book characters. Forrest fishing in a Palisade to represent his favorite place in the Rockies at Palisades Sill. Exhibit P5. The treasure was found under a canopy of stars. The epilogue describes the basics of what happened in the story. So in the Thrill of the Chase epilogue was a picture of Forrest under a canopy of stars with a palisade of a row of tree stumps. A palisade put in under Eagle's Nest in the lush forested vegetation of the Rocky Mountains. Under this canopy of many stars was Dancing with the Stars and Singing with the Stars, and Forrest's secret grave marker under a canopy of stars, and a cross grave marker in front of Fort Sill, the brilliant connections to Palisades Sill. Dancing with the Stars was the secret plan of Forrest's, and he told us this in the story Dancing with the Millennium. Exhibit P6. This description was to illustrate Forrest's secret plan, clue of Dancing with the Stars to find Palisades Sill. This secret plan Forrest was referring to will be answered shortly inside the first clue continued. The importance of this first clue I'm explaining is detrimental in solving the treasure hunt. If you don't have the specific location of Palisades Sill nailed down that Forrest is giving us in the first clue, you will never find his secret cross grave marker, the P6A, at the first clue nailed down. As I have gone alone in there, as I have gone alone in Palisades Sill, and with my treasures bold, no comma after the first line, so it's a continuation of what he went into Palisades Sill with. And with his treasures bold were his comic books about the bold Superman and Batman and Captain America, Submariner, and thousands more. We are not sure what Forrest's treasures are in the poem until we've listened inside Forrest's stories, as he told us to listen good. Forrest told us throughout his extensive stories about his collecting many of his treasures he collected throughout his lifetime. Forrest let us know he was the best at collecting eclectic antiques. There were many collections Forrest loved and saved, like arrowheads, bottle caps, a gigantic ball of string joined together that was too big to fit out his bedroom door, fly fishing flies, moccasins, plus so many other things that he enjoyed collecting. So here's where you needed to listen good, too. What and how Forrest wrote his clues. Here's where he told us exactly what his favorite collection was. Now listen good and you'll hear how he told us his favorites were the comic books. Exhibit P8. His comic book collection he worked on saving over 50 years were his treasures bowled as a child. Forrest told us there was a ha-ha moment at the end of his treasure hunt. The funny books. Exhibit P8A. I had many funny book heroes, but my favorites were Submarina and Captain America. My favorites. The outlines of his head inside the 13-year-old mind of Forrest Fenn. The funny books, ha-ha-ha moment at the ending of the chase. The brilliant endgame of the treasure hunt Forrest created in his mind to find Clark Joseph Kent at the secret grave marker cross that had the two people keeping Forrest's secret, Clark Kent and Aunt Esther. The dedications to superheroes every day. The dedication to the ghost of the French soldier and all the lost and forgotten soldiers of so many different wars. Exhibit P8. The Bonnie and Clyde connection to Superman is in Exhibit P8B. Forrest Fenn, a child has a better chance to solve this treasure hunt. Don't ask me how I know that. Comic books. These pictures say it all. There's Dancing with the Stars, the asterisks hidden inside the pictures and stories were another way Forrest danced with the stars. There's the marble gaze hidden inside the picture because the answers are on comics. Lewis wins clue inside the marble gaze, changing Lewis to Lois in Looking for Lewis and Clark. One of the best clues in these comic book stories pictures are the mid-channel fort. A channel is a chase. Thrill of the chase. The next illustration will describe the chase and this child taking Forrest's comics for solving the ultimate thrill of the chase. Forrest's Action Comics #1 Superman on Forrest Fenn's secret dedication grave marker with Clark Kent to honor the thrill of the chase 1.61 Superman movie scene in 1978. The scene based solely superheroes every day. Everyday superheroes looking for Lewis and Clark's story. The hint that we were looking for Lois and Clark. The hint that we were looking for Lois and Clark and the corpse of discovery were really incredible connections for Clark Kent and a grave marker. The title to the gold. The solution to the thrill of the chase 1.61 that lets you know we are looking for Lois and Clark, one of thousands of so-called unsubstantiated clues about heroes hidden inside the stories. Exhibit P11 is the factual evidence to the thrill of the chase. Forrest never grew out of his love for comics, even as he aged into his 80s. Listen good, he told us. His mind stays at about 13, which is the average age of a comic book enthusiast and collector. We need to move on to the rest of clue #1. By now you understand a little bit of Forrest's secret love for comic books and the heroic characters portrayed in them. For God's sake, Forrest even made a secret clue dedication to Stan Lee. Listen to Forrest, an education from Stan Lee. The Journey into Mystery in 1952. These were hidden clues, but they were also a way to give a memorial dedication to a great man who gave us such wonderful extravagant gifts, and memories. Marvel Comics. My 2 cents double meanings. Postmarks for Devil's Mailbox. Seen from the location of the secret Kent and Esther Cross grave marker, south side of Route 64 at Palisades Sill. Exhibit P 13A. Memoir equals a window. Is Palisades window. Sill. Palisades Sill. Postmarks equals Devil's Mailbox. Only viewed from the south side of 64, exactly where the cross was. As I have gone alone in there, as I have gone alone into Palisades Sill, and with my treasures bold, is Forrest Fenn's comic books. I can keep my secret where? Secret is the grave marker, and where is there, Palisades Sill. Where? Put in at Palisades Sill. Where is the same position as there? At, in, or what situation, position. The starting position at Palisades Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico. I can keep my secrets. The grave marker, the treasure chest, the marble gaze Forrest's cache of comic book characters, the brandy bottle at Forrest's favorite place, where? At Palisades Sill. Exhibit P14 and Exhibit 14A, the physical evidence of a bottle dug up a foot under the cross grave marker. A doppelganger brandy bottle to represent Brandy Clark Kent, another Marvel character from Forrest's Marvel Gaze. The poem doesn't tell us what Forrest's secret was that he hid at Palisades Sill, so we had to go to the Thrill of the Chase book to find out exactly what Forrest's secret was. The secret alone from the Thrill of the Chase book is the next part to understand in this first clue. That magical waterfall where the deal was struck. Forrest trusted it, and it could trust him. It was their secret alone. Exhibit P 15A, 15B. Forrest Fenn's magical waterfall area that he made a specific promise to honor. You bring me back and I'll personally come down there and thank you. The deal was struck. I trusted it and it could trust me. It was our secret alone. If he survived his last mission, he would owe his survival to that beautiful area and go down and visit that special place. So when he went into that place and he found the grave marker, that altered his life course forever. Exhibit P 15C. Forrest's debt to the waterfall turned into a chain of events that altered Forrest's life. But there was also an obvious plan, insidiously growing, to make a dedication to please the French soldier's ghost. Exhibit P15. That strong feeling burned into Forrest's brain, and Forrest had a lot to think about. He had to somehow honor this soldier along with all the lost and forgotten war heroes that nobody would ever know or think about or remember. This grave marker Forrest stumbled over. People of Earth will stumble, Jor-El quote. It changed his life onto a course of figuring out some way of giving respect to all the fallen heroes of the past, known and unknown. The answers to Forrest's secret alone are coming. Forrest's secret grave marker was the key for the ultimate honor and dedication to soldiers, movie stars, Superman, superheroes from comics, law enforcement, doctors, and so many others. The secret alone Forrest Fenn created was the dedication cross Clark Kent and Aunt Esther grave marker, a secret dedication to Superman and millions of everyday superheroes. Forrest realized later in life how he could honor the French soldier's ghost with a homely girl that he knew from TV, and she definitely made people smile. The important flight log that was the brainchild for the Kent and Esther cross. Exhibit P15 F. Exhibit P-15G. Philadelphia was the important location when Forrest blocked out Philly with his thumb. The significance of this event is pertaining to the caper prank Forrest created in his mind, which he now calls the Philadelphia Caper. He joined Ken and Esther together to create Canasta. Exhibit P-15H. If Forrest's flight surgeon had found out about this dangerous situation Forrest put himself in, where he got so loopy, the surgeon would have grounded him for sure. Forrest melded the thoughts together to create Canasta. This was the prank Canasta Forrest came up with while on that flight, but Forrest didn't realize how important that joke, ha 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 moment, was until years later when his own grave marker came back into his life. The grave marker Forrest created to honor the ghost of a homely girl named Aunt Esther from the Sanford and Son show. And boy, did Aunt Esther make people smile, aka Superman. Forrest's love for his comic books and his lifelong search for the best copy he could find of Action Comics #1 was the thrill of the chase for Forrest Fenn. So when Forrest found out about his cancer, this chain of events unfolded. He built a treasure hunt based on the thrill of the chase for Superman #1, a chase with superhero clues for a marvelous treasure chest, searching for Superman in hidden clues to reach the final location. Exhibit P-15I. Clues for Superman like a silver star for Superman in the Silver Age of comics. Clues for Aunt Esther like a bronze star for the bronze goddess of fire who would set her body ablaze. If you've been wise and found the blaze. Exhibit P-15J. So in the Marvel mirror dimension in Forrest's mind, these lines have converged, melded, Canasta hand. And this decision satisfied Forrest for his way to smile and honor the ghost of a French soldier. Exhibit P-15K. I do have to present this evidence to validate after the significance of the grave marker to Canasta was found on July 3rd, 2019. Sasha Dent Johnson knew that an important clue had been found. So I contacted her and she wouldn't give me the time of day because from September 2019 through June 5th, 2020, there was a group of individuals scheming behind Forrest's back about the shady retrieval of the treasure chest in September 2019. I have evidence of many involved with this treachery suspect list, and they're highlighted on the suspect list created by Frank Beyer. Exhibit F1. Let's move on to finish the first clue. Exhibit P-15L. Forrest explaining multiple ways the importance of honoring everyone in so many ways, explaining that we are all stars in our lives. We should feel like we are important and we mean something to someone. We are all asterisks. We are all stars. Exhibit P-15M. The answer is at last obvious to me. No one has to see what is there. The grass sees, and the trees in the rushing water of the spring creek. The spring creek also see. What has made me think that I had to see the beauty that is there in order to confirm its existence? We are all here only for the pleasure of others. Everything living only for the pleasure of others. Of course, that's it. Exhibit P-15N. We are all equal and important. That's why Forrest had implemented Clark Kent and Aunt Esther on the grave marker and had to be pounded into Forrest's brain, like his father, the principal, pounding the wooden sign into the ground at the front door connection. The sum, the principle, importance of a wooden grave marker cross. Forrest's final message to give us his way. He honored the ghost of the soldier when Forrest also passed this veil. So now at last, at least for me, I know. And if no one should ever think of me when I have passed this veil, it will be of no consequence. For I have finally found my way, and I am at peace with all of it, just as the French soldier passed this veil.
I tripped over a grave marker.
With marble
gaze.
gaze.
A stone grave marker, about 14, 15 inches wide. I tripped over a
Marvel
grave marker.
and DC characters.
It was a stone grave
Canasta.
marker, about 14, 15 inches wide.
As I have gone alone in there, as I have gone alone in Palisades Sill, and with my treasures bold, my comic books, I can keep my secret where, there, and hint of riches new and old. The geology of Cimarron Canyon, the period at the end of the first clue, precisely telling us the search area. Exhibit P16. The geology of Cimarron Canyon exposes nearly 2 billion years of complex geologic history. The canyon separates the older Proterozoic rock to the south from the younger Tertiary rocks to the north. Figure 2. The oldest rocks in the area are the Proterozoic, Metamorphic, and Igneous rocks. The intrusive igneous rocks. And hint of riches at Palisades Sill of new, younger rock, and older rock with an X on the Cimarron Canyon geographical map. Clue number 1 pinpointed Palisades Sill location precisely. The rest of the clues are all answered in consecutive order, but the first stanza clue delineates Palisades Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico as the search secret area that Forrest Fenn loved the most in the Rockies, and he wanted to rest his bones at this amazing place. But for now, it's just a flurry of fishermen and women. The popular fishing holes at Palisades Sill. The theirs are for Palisades Sill. Bread is the Superman connection to Kent on the grave marker at the final resting place. Intrusion is for intrusive igneous rock, which is what created Palisades Sill. Those great places that were personal secrets to Forrest Fenn then. Forrest Fenn is telling us his secret is that Palisades Sill was something about Superman being the secret. The Clark Kent, Christopher Reeves. Dedication, Superman 1.61, thrill of the chase scene in the 1978 movie. Plus the never-ending dedications to his favorite superheroes, just like his comment about going back in time to be with Peggy, just as Steve Rogers did in Endgame. I will rest through all of time and space. A smile that comes from remembering the special things that brought us to that final place, one of which was knowing Peggy was there, somewhere, waiting for me. Captain Carter was Peggy, the same Peggy Forrest went back in time to be with. I will rest through all of time and space, pillowed down. From gypsy magic, I put my pillow on the sill and slept that way whenever I could. Pillowed down and scented in. I enjoyed the ever-present aromas of sage and juniper from Taos Mountain that brought him to that final place. Palisades Sill. These spectacular cliffs are cut by the Cimarron River through igneous rock, known as a sill. Palisades Sill. Forrest Fenn gave us all the clues for Palisades Sill. Palisades Sill. These spectacular cliffs are cut by the Cimarron River through igneous rock, known as a sill. Study the clues in the books and thread a track through the wilds of nature and circumstance to the treasure. Cimarron Canyon was the chase. Forrest gave us thousands of Marvel gaze clues to lead us to Kent on the secret grave marker at Palisades Sill, Cimarron Canyon, New Mexico. Don't let Forrest Fenn's murder not be avenged. I'm going to finalize clue number 1 with that, but there's so many more clues and hints to pinpoint Palisades Sill. I'll move on to 2 through 9 in the clues. That's the nook. Clues 2 through 9 for the map, where, why, and how to retrieve. Plus the title. The importance of the first clue has just pinpointed Palisades Sill a multitude of times if you really listened good to what and how Forrest wrote and said. Clue number 2, remember Forrest gave the clue begin at where warm waters halt is the first clue. Begin at where warm waters halt, it is the map. The first clue in the map portion. Clue number 2 is all the way to the second period in the poem. Begin the map portion at Agua Fria Peak, Cold Waters Peak. Agua Fria Peak is at the top of Angel Fire Mountain. Exhibit P17, Firing Angel, but I'm sure it was misspelled. While both peak stop and halt essentially mean stop, peak stop specifically refers to stopping at the highest point or peak of a measurement or value, while halt simply means to stop completely. So the top of Angel Fire Mountain, Agua Fria Peak, is the beginning of the map in the poem and the 31 miles from Palisades Sill. Exhibit P17A. 31 miles from where warm waters halt to Palisades Sill is about 30 miles to the target area. Begin at where warm waters halt. These two lines are together, no comma here, and take it in the canyon down, because it's where the map starts and leads to. And take it, the map, down from Agua Fria Peak towards Cimarron Canyon route, down Route 64. Not far, but too far to walk. Past the clues that are in the Too Far to Walk book, Exhibit P17B, dedicating the Vietnam War Memorial along the 23-mile stretch to the next clue, which is in the Too Far to Walk book, and starts from where warm waters halt, 23 miles, is too far to walk. Number 3, put in below the home of Brown. Period. The treasure chest was put in at Palisades Sill, which is well below Eagle's Nest, the home of Brown. The third period is at the end of the third clue. Exhibit P18. Eagle's Nest Dam, also known as the home of the Browns. The treasure is hidden more than 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe. Santa Fe and Eagle's Nest are one in the same location. So Palisades Sill is 8.3 miles away from Eagle's Nest, the home of Brown. 4. From there, it's no place for the meek. Clue number 3 in the map section of the poem, From Palisades Sill, is the old man face on the mountain, which is all part of the intrusive igneous rock. No place for the meek is exactly what a mountain man was like. Exhibit P19. What was the life of a mountain man like? The life of a mountain man was rough and one that brought him face to face with death on a regular basis, sometimes through the slow agony of starvation, dehydration, burning heat, or freezing cold, and sometimes by the surprise attack of animal or Indian. From there, it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. The end of the map is close, and it's a cliff. The end of the map is the defensive palisade on the left. A semicolon is at the end of this clue because it's a continuation of the same clue, but further down the canyon in a different area. Clue number 4 ends at the semicolon. There'll be no paddle up your creek. Clue number 5. There'll be no paddle up your creek. Clue number 4 in the map section of the poem. There'll still continues from Palisades. From Palisade in the map, there's nothing down at Maverick Creek, and you'll be up Maverick Creek without a paddle. Don't go down to Maverick Creek. There'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. The end of the map. There's just gravel pit lakes, which is the heavy loads, Exhibit 20, and water high because one of the 3 lakes is higher in elevation, Exhibit P20A. Now the map section is completely done and we know our search area for the blaze. We know this because of the way the next clue is presented. Forrest has given us the answers to there. Clue number 6, if you've been wise and found the blaze. This is the boots on the ground section, BOTG. If you've been wise and realized that Palisades Sill is the search area, then finding and determining what the blaze was is the next step. Exhibit P21, Palisades Sill. Understanding that this area was Forrest's secret place, he had to have a hidden area where he would camp out overnight and be away from anyone in this area. His real secret spot. Somewhere he was able to leave his fishing gear until the next visit, as Forrest once announced the family would do. Somewhere that was secluded but had a beautiful view of Palisades Sill and the canyon down. Exhibit P21A. Directly across from Palisades Sill, up on the ridge, approximately 500 feet away from the parking lot, is Forrest Fenn's old fire pit blaze up on the sill. Photos to come. If you've been wise, the wise old owl and was hiding behind a large ponderosa near the target. So if you followed Forrest's map precisely, and you have traveled down Route 64 and reached Ponderosa Campground 1.5 miles away, then Palisades Sill is behind a large ponderosa near the target at Ponderosa Campground shaped like an owl. And found the blaze. Exhibit P21C. This is the blaze up on the ridge across from Palisades Sill, Forrest Fenn's old fire pit. If you've been wise and found the blaze, comma, look quickly down, comma, looking from Fenn Rock down towards the canyon down. Exhibit P21D. Exhibit P21E, the canyon down. Look down from the front of the ridge off the steep front from where the blaze is. Your quest to cease. Look back down where you started. This is where T.S. Eliot said it for Forrest Fenn, and it will give you goosebumps. Exhibit P21F. T.S. Eliot really said it for me, and this should give you goosebumps. We shall not cease from our exploration, and at the end of our exploring shall be to return where we started and know the place for the first time. The person who finds the treasure will have studied the poem over and over and thought and analyzed and moved with confidence. Confidence in a maverick. Nothing about it will be accidental. T.S. Eliot said, the confidence in a maverick is Maverick Creek. We shall not cease. Your quest to cease from our exploration, and at the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. You end up back where you started at the overflow parking area. Your quest ceases at the overflow parking lot, right where you started, the boots on the ground search. If you've been wise and found the blaze, comma, look quickly down, comma, your quest to cease, comma, but tarry scant with marvel gaze, comma, just take the chest and go in peace, period. But tarry scant with marvel gaze, but the continuation of clue number 6 from the ridge, but in a different location down at the parking lot. Tarry scant, covered in tar. Scarcely, hardly for scant. Just a little bit. You cross that small parking lot, go back across the small 1-car wide tar covered parking lot. The wise and found the blaze, look quickly down, your quest to cease, but tarry scant with marvel gaze. DC characters. Canasta. That's how simple it was. With marvel gaze. Exhibit P21H. You've ended up right back at the same location the very first clue led you to. The grave marker with the superhero and the homely girl on it. The canister that becomes canasta. The first clue nailed down. Exhibit P6A. The first clue nailed down leads directly to this grave marker. The most common mistake I see searchers make is that they underestimate the importance of the first clue. If you don't have that one nailed down, you might as well stay home and play Canasta. As you are crossing the parking lot, you have the views of Palisades Sill and the grave marker, with the Canasta cross 12 feet away from the parking lot edge. The marvel gaze of thousands of hidden superheroes in the stories, to leading back to look for Lois and Clark Kent. Kent on Forrest's secret grave marker. The grave marker with the 2 DC characters keeping Forrest's secret. Exhibit P21I. Who's Who? The definitive directory of the DC universe. If you've been wise and found the blaze, comma, look quickly down, comma, your quest to cease, comma, but tarry scant with marvel gaze, comma, just take the chest and go in peace. The treasure chest location was precisely at this grave marker, and I have a physical piece of evidence that came from under that grave marker to prove it was one of Forrest's treasures. Exhibit P14. In this evidence file, the bottle was one of Forrest's treasures I dug up underneath the grave marker that I believed at the time led to another clue somewhere else. Clue number 7. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The only question, riddle, in the poem, why? Why did Forrest leave his treasure trove of thousands of comic book references and comics hidden for us to look for without his own body rested there? Exhibit P22. These stories have Forrest's favorite comic book characters sprinkled throughout these pages. Forrest created this remarkable grave marker to honor the French soldier's ghost with a heroic treasure hunt legacy, to pay his debt to the waterfall, to fulfill the promise that he made in My War for Me to all of those lost and forgotten soldiers, especially the French soldier. Forrest created a heroic onslaught of characters that he hid throughout his books. Forrest Fenn gave us all the clues if you listened good. The answers were Marvel Comics. The answer I already know. The answers were Marvel Comics. Forrest took his comic books superhero friends into Palisades Sill as a child and read many of them at the fire pit. After a long, tiring day of fishing at Palisades Sill, he would then cook his rainbow trout at the end of his rainbow in the fire pit. So the love of those comic book heroes turned Forrest into the hero he became in life. A maverick, a decorated war hero, a man who loved his family, a man who wanted to give a child who collected comic books an advantage to find the treasure chest in his brilliant collection of Marvel gaze. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. But at the end, he was too weak to make it back up to the fire pit with the treasure chest. Exhibit P, 22B. So Forrest created an alternate location for the treasure chest that an 80-year-old man could find the treasure very easily, or a comic book collector that could realize while waiting at the parking lot that Kent and Esther becomes Canasta when joined together in the Marvel gaze dimension. The Philadelphia Caper, where Superman is grounded in Philadelphia. All of the hundreds of Superman references that are infused in the books, including the big one. Exhibit P, 11. For me, this is Forrest now, for me, it was always the thrill of the chase. The solution was always the title. The Thrill of the Chase Superman 1.61 scene from the 1978 Superman movie to dedicate and honor Christopher Reeve and Superman and all everyday superheroes, because that scene was about the police being the heroes. It was all about everyday superheroes that Forrest Fenn was dedicating, and soldiers and war heroes and lost and forgotten soldiers and movie stars and etc., etc., etc. All dedications of heroes. The final location was relocated in the clues because Forrest couldn't get back up to the secret place on the ridge anymore because it was too far to walk. The final clue would be where they found Forrest's car in the parking lot of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. Exhibit P, 22C. The final clue is where they find the grave marker at the parking lot where Forrest's car would have been. So the most important clue is number 1, because if solved correctly, you could go straight to the treasure from the home of Brown, Eagle's Nest, straight down to Palisades Sill. There. From there. Forrest said, if I told you where the home of Brown is, you could go straight to the treasure chest. Home of Brown is Eagle's Nest, and the next clue is from there, Palisades Sill, in the map, and they are in consecutive order, and you go straight to it. Clue number 8. So hear me all and listen good, comma. This is a sermon at the grave marker. Hear Forrest inside his words, and listen good and you'll hear the Superman connections. So hear me all and listen good, comma. Your effort for it will be worth the cold. The fort, the palisade. Digging up the treasure at the Kent and Esther grave marker is a cold-hearted thing to do. Right next to Route 64 on the edge of the parking lot. And Forrest gave us this clue. Dodging cars as they passed by was part of the thrill. Part of the thrill of the chase. Exhibit P, 23. Pretty cool, right? Clue number 9. If you're brave and in the wood, if you've solved the poem precisely by the brave Superman and Batman, and you found Clark Kent in the wooden palisade, Exhibit P24, a palisade is a fence of wooden stakes or iron railings forming an enclosure or defense. Or, most comic books consist of stapled booklets made of wood, pulp paper. Batman, the Brave and the Bold. I give you title to the gold. The title to the thrill of the chase is the only other clue that you needed to figure out the poem. If solved correctly, the title leads to Superman 1.61 Thrill of the Chase. Exhibit P25. The True Solve. Forrest gave title to the real solver. Also, named him and dubbed him the man from back east. I solved everything up to the blaze in November 2017, up on the ridge. But the backup solve is finally how I solved it. Kent and Esther became Canasta, then Canasta. That's my 2 cents, presented by the man from back east, David Woodard, aka the Solver.